Two podcasts in one day. My God, has this man got nothing better to do with his time? Well, no, I haven't. So, two podcasts. Um, this one is kind of going to be all over the place. As you can see, the title is Are You Local? This is going to go back to a theme that I address, or have addressed many times, but I'm guilty in this channel of going over fairly important things and then just leaving them behind as though there's something that's more shiny and new in the future that's going to somehow be better. But some of the things, and this podcast deals with it, or with one, are worth repeating over and over and over again. Now, the two characters you see here on this slide are called Tubbs and Edward. Tubbs is the woman, that gorgeous chick on the left, and they are characters in a very British sort of surreal comedy program called The League of Gentlemen. So if you want to see how truly twisted the British are, then watch The League of Gentlemen. Anyway, the reason they're here is because their defining statement is that whenever they meet anybody, they run a little shop. And if anybody goes into their shop, the first question they ask them is, "Are you local?" They don't like people who are not local. They won't serve them. Anyway, so the question, are you local? Now this will take on a rather more significant meaning, hopefully anyway, as we go through this podcast. Now, this might have XXX overtones in it, so I'm kind of warning you. As Kant says, reality, the thing in itself, is not something we know or something we can know. We live in a local reality. We don't live in the reality, whatever that might be. I mean, we're bounded by our language. This is where Wittgenstein would probably be of interest, but let's not go there. So we live in a local reality. Spinoza would sort of say we have a definite and determinate body and a definite and determinate mind. Of course, we think our mind is the mind. The world is the world. Neither of those are true. Our mind is as definite and determinate, shaped in a very particular way to serve a particular function that evolution seems to have given us. And we represent the world in a very definite and determinate way. It is local. Everything you know is local. That is why a search after truth is just nonsense. In fact, even the term truth only has meaning for us. It probably has no meaning for the universe. The universe doesn't, or nature, or whatever term you want to use, doesn't have, it doesn't operate according to our language. So our life, our experience, with one exception, and the clue is on that statement by Parmenides, but I'll get to that later. Our world is local. You could see it, and I see it, as a prison. But in reality, once you know you're in prison, you're not entirely in prison, because you have some kind of intuition or insight into the fact that actually there's something bigger going on. Again, words, bigger, what does bigger mean? It doesn't mean anything really. This means that we have a very definite and determinate existence of reality, and that reality as a whole is something we cannot know. So we're local. We're always local. Our minds work in a definite and determinate way, and you will see this when we go through more of Kant. And the best example people always give, and it is the best example from his 12 categories, is the idea of causality. Causality works according to an if and a then. So, if I study for 3 years in engineering, then I'll be able to get a job in engineering. If I diet for the next 3 months, then I can lose 20 pounds, or however much. This is the way we think. It's the way we represent the world to ourselves. The world is your representation. It is entirely local to you. There's no escape from that. And the bigger questions of what am I are unanswerable. You do not know what you are, and you cannot know what you are. One of the great tragedies in life, as far as I'm concerned, is that I only know myself and others as representations. I don't know what I am, and I don't know what you are. I only have a representation in time and space. And because of that, we're all separated from each other as objects. We have a much deeper sense of what we are, to some extent anyway, and almost no sense of what another person is. In fact, you see a stranger in the street, they're just an object, a thing tootling down the street. Great tragedy. It was said to me that every time I meet someone, I should consider that it might be the last time I see them. It's a good thing to do, actually, although of course, being what we are, we forget to do these kind of things. Anyway, so here's our dream, our local reality. You can't get out of it. We can explore the boundaries of it, but we can't see beyond it, particularly, with one exception. So, the way to deal with this is to relax into your dream. Don't fight it. You haven't created this dream. You think you are a person, a thing, but in actual fact, what goes on within you in terms of the structure is pretty much the same for everybody. Causality. We see the world as made out of stuff. We don't know what the world is. We see it as stuff, but we don't know what it is. We see quantity, quality, a whole pile of representations that are local to us. And then this container, if you like, this structure is filled with impressions from the outside, and you establish a little voice in your head that talks, and you get images of things. And you believe that those images of things and the little voice in your head is you. It's not you, it's a fucking robot. It's a programmed thing that serves a purpose, mainly during the daytime at least, of making sure you survive. So this is your local reality, your local programming. You are a spiritual automaton. You are not a person. Of course, you're much more than you might possibly imagine, or you might be much more, but you don't know that because you can't see or experience yourself outside of the way your mind is constructed and the way that you sense reality through space and time. There is a way to deal with all of this. In fact, there are two ways. The first way is just to say fuck it. Because for me personally, and this may not be the case for other people, but sometimes I feel like I'm sort of getting pushed into a corner in my own head, in the way that I'm thinking and the ideas I have and so on and so forth. And then I remember it's all local. It doesn't fucking matter. It's local. It's like being inside a completely soundproof room, chattering away to myself, and the rest of the universe knows nothing about it. It's local. And so instead of being frustrated by the fact that there are no voices coming back or no one else is hearing me, I can just say fuck it. Now I'll get on to this quote by Parmenides. Everything is local apart from one thing, and that is the fact of existence. Yes, we're back to that. Now, in the Gurdjieff tradition, they like to repeat the mantra, I am. That never meant anything to me. It might do to you, but for me it didn't. Much more powerful, in my opinion, is it is. Right here and now you can say existence is, it is. And to quote Parmenides, that it is the way of conviction. It's the only way you can poke your head out of this jail cell and have a view of reality, albeit it's just one particular aspect, the fact of existence. And that's why, generally speaking, we have no fucking interest in doing that whatsoever, because our programming and our representation of ourselves and the world doesn't include that. We forget it. It's the greatest secret. Well, it's not a secret really, is it? It's the greatest gateway to sticking your head out of a stale and damp prison cell and drawing in a breath of fresh air. The problem is that we can't do that for very long, but that actually isn't a problem. Just the remembrance of that, even if you only do it once a week, although it's nice if you can do it for a few minutes every day, is enough to feed something within you. Something that kind of gets a bit claustrophobic. You stick your head out the prison cell and just take a good deep breath of fresh air, and then pull your head back into the prison cell. And you're back to the old stale, damp air. But nonetheless, you've had a taste of something different. Anyway, that is a bit of a, I don't know, impromptu one. I probably won't do any for a week or so now. I don't know how many I've done, but it must be at least, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 20 in the last month, and then I'll pick it up probably midweek next week or towards the back end of next week. So until then.